So there is a lot to unpack with this episode, and I'm kind of struggling where to start. So this is definitely one of those episodes where I'm going to be making videos all week, just dissecting it and picking apart all the elements in it. I am just, wow. One, I have to say, how they filmed this, I loved it. I know some people in my live chat, and by the way, I do live chats after every episode, usually 10 to 15 minutes after it. I know some people said that they felt the battle was a bit disjointed with how they did the camera work, but I personally loved it because battles should be chaotic, and I love that they gave us that perspective of it shouldn't be clean-cut camera work. It should be a bit shaky and jumping around and make us feel like we're in the thick of it. So I actually did enjoy that quite a bit. And I also enjoyed how we kept following different characters, so we never got bored or, you know, your eyes glaze over when there's too much battle going on. So I think how I'm going to cover this review is a little bit different than how I've done my other episodes. I'm actually going to go through my notes as I took them and talk about them, so you're not going to have as much audio over like I usually do. So the first thing I noted in my notes was the look between Bran and Tyrion. So as Bran was being wheeled out by the Ironborn to the Godswood, Bran made eye contact with Tyrion, and the look between them, they definitely had a plan. Something was going on. So when they had a conversation with each other, I think either one, Tyrion and Bran came up with a plan together, or after hearing Bran's story, Tyrion is thinking something and they're working together. Or two, Tyrion heard Bran's story after, you know, last episode he said, oh, you've had an interesting journey, I'd like to hear about it. It's not like we're not stuck in a castle. I think Tyrion, if the second option is true, heard his story and now his gears are turning and he might actually betray either Dany or the Starks. I'm leaning more towards Dany because I will get to Sansa and how I definitely think she is going to manipulate Tyrion. So that look is one of two things, and I'm very interested to see if it's because Tyrion and Bran had that conversation and they're on the same page, or Tyrion took information from that and now he's going to do something and Bran knows it's going to happen, but of course he knows that it has to happen in order for everything to turn out the way he wants or needs it to. I did like the grouping. I also love how Sam finally showed up next to Ed, and I feel like you could tell by how much Ed was bringing it up that Sam was going to end up fucking him over, and of course he did later in the battle, so. Jorah and the Dothraki, when I saw Ghost with them, I thought, oh cool, it's Ghost. And then a moment later I went, oh shit, it's Ghost. And I am completely shocked that Ghost lived through this battle and we saw him in the episode 4 preview. They didn't kill a direwolf and I was absolutely sure it was gonna happen. So, I was wrong about you, D&D. But I do like how your budget was that you just showed Ghost a little bit and then after the Dothraki charge, you're like, oh, that's it. If you guys spotted Ghost throughout the battle, let me know because I sure as fuck didn't. Next part of my notes is talking about Mel. I am actually shocked that Mel just showed up by herself. I thought when she went to Essos, she was getting more red priests and priestesses, so the fact that she just showed up by herself, what were you doing in Essos, Mel? I really want to know what you were doing that you had to leave and then come back. I know the real life reason was because she had a kid and she was having withdrawal issues and she needed to go be with her child for a little bit, but I want to know the in-story reason for this. But yeah, that was pretty badass how she lit all their weapons, the Dothraki weapons, on fire. Holy shit. Actually, that entire shot of them going with their swords, I mean it being lit up. Camera work, if we're going to talk about camera work, gorgeous. I loved it. But when they ride off and they charge and then their lights are going out, that was terrifying. Camera work wise, gorgeous. Terrifying at the same time. I loved it. Also, speaking about Melisandre, I love how pissed Davos was, and Mel's like, hey, don't worry about it. I'll be dead by dawn, which I guess I can talk about this. I love how at the end of the episode, Davos was ready to take out his sword and be like, I'm gonna end you, bitch. And when she just walked out and then took off her choker and took her old form and then collapsed and died, he's like, oh, okay. And probably because that's the only time he's seen her in her true form, and it's from a distance, Davos was probably like, WTF. But from Melisandre's point of view, she was following the Lord of Light. The Night King was the main enemy. That was why she did everything that she did, and she completed her task. The Night King is done, so now she can pass on. My next part of my notes is I'm a little bit frustrated with Dany. Jon had a plan, they had a plan, but once she saw her Dothraki being annihilated, Dany couldn't stick with the plan, so of course she had to fly out. And it messed up everything. I'm glad both dragons lived to the end. I'm actually shocked Drogon and Rhaegal lived. That's absolutely amazing. We saw them in the episode 4 preview, so the direwolf lived and the 2 dragons lived. That's amazing. But Dany messed up their plan by her going out. But part of me felt like, why wouldn't you guys immediately go and start lighting the undead on fire? The dragons are your biggest weapons. I know there was a fear of the Night King popping up and messing up their plans, but come on, really? Jon. Although I did like them being caught in the polar vortex that the Night King was created and the dragons ramming into each other. Hilarious. Ed dying. I knew Ed was a goner when he stopped to help Sam and he was looking at him. I don't know why in a battle you would stop and just stare at the person. But yeah, when Ed stopped to help Sam and then just was staring at him, I knew Ed was a goner. So, poor Ed. Man, you have been fucked from day one. I will say a very heartbreaking moment was Grey Worm's face when he knew he had to put up the defenses and the Unsullied were on the other side. The actor for Grey Worm, his facial expressions when he was going through with that was heartbreaking. Speaking of that, Mel lighting the trenches on fire, I love how she was saying the words and it wasn't happening as quickly as it should be happening, and she was freaking out and she was looking at the undead and the people around her were trying to keep her alive while she was doing it. That was very suspenseful, and seeing her and how shocked she was that it was taking so long and her actually being afraid that she wouldn't be able to do it, despite her believing the Lord of Light sent her to do all this. So, I don't know, that was one of my favorite scenes, which seems kind of weird. Okay, so let's talk about the crypts. Sansa is definitely playing Tyrion. By her saying, you were the best of all of them, and then her saying, we would never work out because of the Dragon Queen. Sansa is 100% going to be manipulating Tyrion, and Tyrion is going to feed right out of her hand. Tyrion has a soft spot for women, and he is so desperate for love and validation that Sansa is going to play him. She learned from the best. She learned from Cersei. She learned from Littlefinger. She is going to manipulate Tyrion, and it is going to get him killed in the end, and it is very sad. I really don't like where they're going with Sansa, but I understand from her character's point of view why she is the way she is. Also, major props to Missandei for saying, if it wasn't for the Dragon Queen, you'd all be dead. Sansa needs to acknowledge that I know she wants independence for the North, but without Dany, there would be no North. They would all be dead. Sansa, don't do this. I know you're gonna get all backstabby. Don't do it. Calm down. But still on the crypts, okay, I know we all knew some shit was gonna go down in the crypts and that the dead were gonna come back to life, and that was a really cool moment. Oh, I wanted an undead Ned so bad, even if it was a skeleton. Or even Rickon, they recently buried his body next to Ned's. You couldn't have given us an undead Rickon coming after Sansa. Fuck faces. And when that was happening, I thought for sure Sansa and Tyrion, when they were hiding together and Tyrion kissed her hand and it was so cute and she brought out the dagger, I was like, oh shit, this is a suicide pact. Sansa's gonna be like, hey, I thought they had an understanding looking at each other. I was like, oh shit. But it wasn't a suicide pact and I was a little disappointed. So ending on the crypts, I am shocked that all our main characters, or main-ish characters in the crypt survived. Tyrion, Sansa, Missandei, Varys, Gilly, Little Sam. They all made it. Wow. Alright, let's move on to the Godswood, because I feel like there's going to be a lot of, let's say, discussion and disagreement about what went down there. 1, Theon was epic. Him taking out all the undead to protect Bran was beautiful. And Bran telling him, I cannot believe the line from the trailer, everything you did brought you here home. That was so beautiful. Bran letting him know, you don't have Stark blood. This is your home. It doesn't matter what you did. Everything brought you back here where you were meant to be. And I also love at the end when Bran knew Theon was going to die. And Theon knew he was going to die too. Bran knew Theon was going to die before Theon knew he was going to die. But the fact that Bran took the time to say, you're a good man. Thank you. Theon got forgiveness from Jon. Jon said, whatever I can forgive you for, whatever's mine to forgive you, I do. Sansa forgave Theon. We saw their special moments together. Bran was the last big Stark to give forgiveness to Theon, and Theon finally got it. And the fact that Theon finally got redeemed and went out protecting the Starks was such a beautiful end for his character. Theon did not run from death again. Theon faced death head on, running right into it. Okay, so let's talk about Arya killing the Night King, because I have a feeling people are going to be in disagreement whether that was a good thing or a bad thing. So the showrunners D&D said that they knew Arya was going to be the one to kill the Night King for about 3 years, and they felt like Jon killing the Night King just wouldn't be satisfying. I don't know why they don't think it would be satisfying, but they did not think it. So they knew Arya was going to be the one. And then if we look at the prophecy, which Mel brought up, you're going to close the eyes of brown eyes, green eyes, blue eyes, the Night King, so... And then the dagger that started the whole frickin' conflict, although you can say other people kind of started that conflict, but the dagger with the assassin for Bran kicks it off in a major way, and the fact that that dagger was then used to end the Night King was poetic and it was great. How the fuck did the undead that was all in the Godswood surrounding Bran and the White Walkers not notice Arya? Was she wearing a dead person's face? Is she just hiding up in the weirwood? I have no idea how the undead did not notice her. They noticed her blood drops. Are we being inconsistent? I really want to know how she did this. How she snuck up on the Night King. Explain it to me. I'm okay with Arya killing the Night King. I'm okay. We have the prophecy closing the blue eyes. Blah, blah, blah. How? This is a fantasy series, but you gotta give me a little bit more. But I guess Arya's magical. She can be stabbed repeatedly in the stomach and pushed in dirty water and survive, so it's a fantasy series. Just let it go. Now I want to say just because Arya was the one to kill the Night King does not mean she's a Azor Ahai. She could be, and that's completely fine. Whatever. I don't feel like that necessarily means Jon isn't Azor Ahai or the prince that was promised. Bran was very adamant that Jon know about his heritage. Now, why was his heritage important to the battle? It wasn't. Jon's heritage is going to be important after the battle, and Bran needed him to know. So, Jon's blood is important. Jon's biological parents are important. And they are going to become important in episode 4, 5, 6, all of them, a few of them. It's going to be a big deal. There's a reason why Bran wanted him to know. And I know little people were upset that Arya got the kill instead of Jon, and what was the point of Jon? Jon made it so people were in the places they needed to be to defeat the Night King. If Jon hadn't united a bunch of people, if Arya hadn't heard that Jon was at Winterfell, she would have gone to King's Landing to kill Cersei. Jon helped bring these people together and made it so they could survive. So even if he didn't get that kill, because of Jon, they are all alive. And again, Jon's blood is going to be important in these last episodes and the last half of the season. Guess in my notes now I have Jorah. Jorah died exactly how he would want to die. He would want to die protecting Dany, so I'm happy for Jorah's end that he got an honorable death that he would want, but it still really hurts that Jorah Bear is dead. Also, the fact that Drogon came back to comfort Dany and wrap around her when she was grieving Jorah was just insanely emotional. Okay, so now really quick, I made some notes that I just want to talk about really quick, things that I just really liked or thought was cool and so on and so forth. I'm sure this review is already too long, and if you don't like the way I did this review, sorry, I just want to do something a little bit different. Number one, I was really upset about Sam breaking down. He's Sam the Slayer, he's come so far, and then to see him just sobbing as the undead are all around him was really disappointing. I know the Hound had a freak out too, and by the way, I loved that he saw Arya in danger and then he went to save her, which, speaking of that barracks death, wow, that dude took a lot of stabbings and he just kept going. Also kind of sad that Barrack's point of being brought back was to make sure that he was there to save Arya so she could kill the Night King. It's sad when your purpose in life is to protect someone that does the big thing. I don't know, I always felt that way. Lyanna's death was so epic. I'm sad to see her go, but she went out in the most Banff way possible, although now House Mormont is extinct. Oops. Brienne and Jaime fighting side by side. Yes, yes, a million times yes. I loved all of that. By the way, Pod needs to be knighted. For sure. Bran saying, I'm going now to Theon, and then warging the ravens was hilarious. I loved it. Just as, I'm going now. Okay, Bran. Okay, so that is my review of the 3rd episode of the final season of Game of Thrones. Like, subscribe, and I'm going to be doing a million videos, probably a lot more coherent than this video throughout the week, because I am in shock. Wow. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below.
All around the mulberry bush, the monkey chased the weasel. The monkey thought 'twas all in good